a lot of things to talk with strategy that is just about to surpass BlackRock in institutional holding, stretch beating records, strive buying more Bitcoin, and also we have time to discuss a little bit of the quantum fad that is happening among all the Bitcoin community. Here I am with Immortal. How are you doing?
Hello guys, how are you doing? Ready to discuss all many different topics today.
Marco, how are you doing there in Indonesia?
Yeah, guys, I'm doing great, and yeah, it's a big introduction. We will have many topics to discuss as usual, so excited to be here again.
Yes, let's move to the slides to talk about the. Let me check this. Let's move to the slides and present. And here we are. Strategy adds 13,927 Bitcoin to its balance sheets, just 1 week more to surpass BlackRock. The average price for this purchase was 71,902, and now they hold 780,897 Bitcoin in their balance sheet.
Many people are still concerned about the average price, right? How ridiculous is
that?
That?
One of the things that happened last, because that come from Twitter in Spanish. One guy say, how come he is buying so expensive? So this is because they don't understand how it works. And some of them say that they have some shady arrangement with the OTC to buy at higher price and then have some money on the back. It's totally stupid stuff.
It's classic of people in Latin America thinking it's just like that. If something is going too well, then it means the only means to go well is someone is being screwed up in the middle. There is no possibility of something goes well because it's well designed. So it's just a mentality thing. The other thing to point out about this is that these almost 14K Bitcoin were achieved only with stretch issuance. There was no MSTR last week.
Yeah, it was fully funded by Stretch, and I think in the beginning of the year it was roughly 60-70% raised via MSTR common, and then the remaining via the preferred. Now they build this amplification ratio that probably the board and Sailor are pretty comfortable with. Maybe they still have a bit of expansion to this ratio, and so they said, yeah, if Stretch has a lot of demand, we're gonna sell it. So as long as Stretch is above 100 or at par, they can sell it. And my hypothesis is that when they will go higher than 40% amplification, maybe they need to slow it down, because then, as we see, the capital structure might be a bit on an imbalance. But as long as the amplification is below and there is demand, they're gonna sell as much as possible. So very, very strong, maybe even stronger than our expectation at the beginning of the year. I mean, Stretch is working flawlessly, and the capital that they raise and the capacity, and also the scalability of that strategy is almost infinite. Because again, with this amount of people, they can scale to millions of dollars, then to billions of dollars, and then to 10 billions of dollars potentially over weeks, without changing, the people working for them, without changing much on the operational side, which is impressive.
The other thing is that we noticed it in the previous month, and we noticed this week too, which is there is an extra inflow of capital before the cut date of 15. So 13 and 14, I think it was Monday, Tuesday. There was a record inflow, like 1.1 billion on Monday, 1.5 billion on Tuesday, which was a record because the momentum is growing, but also because it's the cut rate. So which means the next day, yesterday trading session, obviously it was cut in a third. I think yesterday was around 500 million. Also, the price drop below value, 99.3, I think it was, which is expected as what's happening on the next day when people already can sell STRC and still get the dividend. But it's a dynamic that is cyclical. It's going to be repeated month after month. It's not like a one. It's not a random speculation. It is speculation because the percentage of all of these inflows that are speculating or getting the inflow without getting too much exposure. But at the end of the day, it's going to be cyclical because they will get back on 10 or 12, whatever it is, in May. They will still explode the volume to probably next month above 2 billion per day. And in any case, it's beneficial for Stretch, for strategy, for the whole Bitcoin ecosystem.
And I think it will be impressive to see in how many days Stretch will go back at par. Because imagine that today the trading session is very, very strong. Bitcoin is maybe go higher than 75. More traders come in, and maybe even today Stretch can go back to 100. That would be impressive. Because in the past it went 4 days, so also the timing to go back at par, I think, is shrinking, meaning that the strategy and the collateral behind the Stretch and the thesis of Stretch is very strong and gaining momentum.
Yeah, I think it would be very impressive if it is get back to par today. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, me neither. But
probably if it happens on next Monday, it's still very good timing.
Yeah.
Yes, and all of these movements, as we see that Stretch is doubling the money acquired month by month, it opened odds for strategy to reach 1 million Bitcoin this year. What do you think about that?
I mean, at this pace, we said and stressed this point. They're buying more than 7,000 Bitcoin per week. If they keep this trend, they will be on target for the 1 million probably in Q4 of this year. But again, there are so many variables at play. Let's see. I would assume that if Bitcoin trade in this range for the remaining part of the year, I think it's likely, because again, in this environment, Stretch is proven to be amazing and overperforming. But I mean, yeah, I think it's possible. I was more bearish at the beginning of the year. I'm becoming way more bullish during the months. So likely, very likely.
Let me comment also on the FAT against strategy. Now, besides the Bitcoin Maxi or the Oshi's FAT creation, which is more related to egos, like later we can discuss, there is also new FAT coming in from the normies side. Today, you told me there was a new video from Coffeezilla, which is is a big YouTuber with millions of subscribers that usually debunks scams online, like marketing scams. It's obviously very against the Trump administration, so everything that Trump does, he posted, he pointed it out. Many years ago, he also proposed Tether being a scam. So he made a big video with millions of views about how Tether is going to go bankrupt and scam all the people who hold USDT. This is at least 6-7 years ago. Obviously failed on that prediction too. Yesterday come out with a new video about Stretch, calling it a Ponzi scheme. The arguments are made by comparison, which are obviously the wrong. They start a video saying Stretch is like FTX, too much leverage. Stretch is like, what was the other one? It's a Ponzi scheme because we don't know where the money is coming from. Stretch is dangerous because it's backed by BTC. BTC is volatile. Stretch is, what was the other argument?
It's giving too much interest rate, so it's fishy.
Too much interest rate, too well above the average. That's not sustainable. There was another one, big one. I have it, and I let it go. Anyways, you get the idea. It's just people without having studied it long enough or without knowledge of how these financial instruments work, just making the argument by comparison with things that are not comparable. Like you can't compare this to FTX, you can't compare this to shit, but it works on the marketing side because the normie who was watching these kind of videos, they probably never had exposure to Bitcoin. The only thing that they know about Bitcoin is that it's for drug dealers and scammers. So you see now a new argument. Someone very famous on the internet say it's like FTX. That's all they need to know. Yeah. So fighting against that is going to be a tough one. Let's see how we handle it.
I don't like Coffeezilla, even though he made a couple of good videos. He makes profit on criticizing other people. I remember when he was criticizing, for example, Joe Crestani, people who sell courses that they teach online, and the point was, okay, these people you can learn the same by going online for free, and they charge you stupid things. So I saw some back and forth discussion with Adam Livingstone, with Coffeezilla.
Oh,
he put some. The thing is that I think that Coffeezilla shared something of Adam Livingstone, and he criticized, and Adam Livingstone explained how does strategy work, stretch work.
Yeah, the other argument, which it's very powerful to convince people who are not in the topic, is he also call it perpetual motion machine, right? And then you say this is a marketing strategy. Do you know, guys, about perpetual motion machine? These are machines that are against the laws of physics, that promise for centuries that something is going to work, but they're actually scams. Well, stretch is like that. That's the whole argument. There is no analytic study. There is no real argument from the financial standpoint.
Yeah, that's the point. So let's go to the next one that is about STRC. As I said, STRC doubles its trading volume every month. What is going to happen in May? So if we can see the graphic, we can see that it's a spike, as you said, every time there is a dividend.
Yeah, well, if people like to talk about cycle, this is a real cycle. It's going to happen once a month. There's going to be a pump in volume, and then it's going to be a drawdown and a pump. It's going to be so fucking consistent that it will make you forget about the Bitcoin 4-year cycle.
Yeah, and also it's like doubling every month and last week, I think this week was all-time high on Monday and all-time high on Tuesday.
Yeah. Despite all the uncertainty, still we are in a geopolitical, very unclear situation, and but market seems to realize that. I mean, the consensus on the market is that probably this shit show with Trump, as usual, is not gonna end into this kind of massive breakout of the war, or probably it's gonna end soon. So also the S&P, I think, prints new all-time high yesterday, or very close to new all-time high. Generally speaking, also Bitcoin seems to have found the bottom. Stretch is delivering. So I think the market is less irrational and less panicking that the usual normie on X might want to depict. So yeah, probably it will be also interesting to see in May what's happening with the Fed. Many things happening in May. I would say don't sell Bitcoin in May and don't go away. So the famous quote. But yes, stretch. If the trend continues, it's amazing for Bitcoin, and as long as the amplification ratio is below 40% and the strategy, and I think also the MNAVO strategy is consistent above 1.15, everything is good.
Yeah, the point I would add, not in May, I would say never sell your
Bitcoin.
Never,
true.
Never sell your Bitcoin. But yeah, seems that the war is like, I heard that JD Vance said that there were conversations between them and Iran. Also, the data of inflation was less. The expected inflation is less than predicted, and now in May comes the new Fed chair with saying that they are going to drop the rates. So that's bullish news. And this is another graphic that I found the other day. Is the time to 5 billion. This is on the fastest, one of the fastest financial instruments reaching this milestone. Since launch until reaching $5 billion US of capitalization, gold ETF took around 6 years to reach 5 billion on capitalization. Google Ads took around 6 years as well. Apple iPhone, 1 year, IBIT 3 months, and Stretch 7 months to reach 5 billion capitalization. Now I think it's 6.3, right?
6.3, but also we noticed today, because we forget about all the other preferred stock, but among all others, I think we are above 11 or 12 billions already.
Yeah, I think around 12.
It's almost like 15, 20% of the market cap of the whole company. So it's very, very significant also to point out to the speed of this. Now that reminds me of another of the criticisms that Cofficilla made was that they pick up this was said by Tom Lee actually, that Stretch has faster capitalization than the iPhone. And they would laugh about it because they say, but iPhone is a product. This is not a product.
This is a product.
Oh, it's a different category. It's a financial product.
Like,
but it is a product.
It's like you say, I don't know, probably I can say, yeah, iPhone is a product, but meat is food. I cannot eat the iPhone. It's a product. It's a financial product.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, people might say, yeah, that they're not comparable because, I mean, producing a physical object might be much more complicated from all the material, the supply chain, etc. But okay, maybe if you don't use the iPhone, just check with Google Ads. Google is like probably top 3 company globally. It took 4 years, more than 4 years, to reach the same level that Stretch did in 7 months. And again, Bitcoin is still not yet understood by the masses. The whole complex of MSTR and strategy is pretty obscure to most financial advisor, in general, financial people. So imagine when those things start to click, when Bitcoin start to become more mainstream, when those topics become more easy to digest. This is the easiest product to sell and to explain. And again, they are like 10 people selling 7 billions of Stretch without, many complication around it. You don't have many supply chain shock. You don't have many problems from suppliers or other people. It's just one company understanding the beauty of Bitcoin and the properties of Bitcoin and building on top of it, using the exact way, in the exact timing, another financial product that can be shipped globally to 8 billion people and all the information that Sailor shared over the last year. So I think it's one of the most genius product, and yet the majority of people are completely oblivious to Bitcoin and to all the preferred. So it's a long way to go.
Also, the other thing, it seems to me that we are in that window of time where you have to fight the thing. You have to fight the new thing. We see this with Bitcoin at the beginning. We see this with the Bitcoin ETFs, and now we are seeing it with the preferred stocks. Eventually,
it's also natural as human beings. If you have something new, you want to try to test it, try to challenge it, try to see if it really stands. But again, we cannot listen from financial experts that strategy or Stretch is too in depth, or they have a margin call in 2026. Come on, guys, do some research. It's so easy. Just open the website, just check two numbers, and this is not even a topic because it's wrong. It's factually wrong.
Also, in the last show, I think I asked you something like, do you think eventually banks will do something like that, which is not likely at this point because they will have to start actually holding Bitcoin. But this week also there was a news of a new ETF from BlackRock that is not a preferred stock, but it's an instrument that it pretends to provide you with the cash flow using a combination of call options in the middle. So, see, the banks are not gonna let this pass out because this is a lot of money. This is way bigger than the products that the bank creates. So they are not gonna just watch and see what happens. They're gonna start trying to develop new versions of this, if eventually not the same thing, some way or another. Maybe in 2 years, we are talking that JP Morgan have a preferred stock that is exactly as a stretch. And now it looks like normal. Oh, guys, 2 years before you were fighting for this. Same like what you did with the ETF. So it's just a matter of time until they eventually capitulate and agree with you that this was the right path.
Yes, totally agree. And I like the point of Marco saying that reach these milestones super fast in an environment where nobody understands it. Nobody is a niche on the niche. The iPhone took 1 year when everyone knows what the iPhone does, and you have all these stupid people who queue up when there is a new iPhone. So everyone knows the iPhone. Like just 5% of the people understand Bitcoin. So even though generate this amount of money in capitalization in just a couple of months. Well, that what we were telling, record in trading volume for Stretch keep going. That was on Monday, 1.1 billion daily traded volume, 46.5% from previous high. And on Tuesday was 1.5 billion on trading volume.
Yeah.
Not only the trading volume, the other thing that I would point out also on the Spanish show is the mechanism, right? There is a fixed dividend that is set by strategy 11.5 for April, but there is also a dynamic interest rate change which happened when the price drops to 99.3. So now the effective yield goes to 11.6 or around there. So this is the intrinsic mechanism that also works in favor of eventually bringing the price always to par. So it's a double mechanism that one is fixed or manually adjusted one. The other one is the effective yield, which is intrinsic to the mechanism because the yield is paid on the share, not on the dollar. And by the way, all the other preferred stocks work the same way, right? Like the effective yield of Stride or some of the other ones is around 13% because the price is trading lower.
Yeah, and I think also another component that maybe I underestimated on Stretch is that is also gaining a lot of traction since the launch, also for companies' treasury. Because again, as we said, it's much easier to put and to convince your board to have your short-term cash into an instrument which is similar to, again, it's not the same, but it's similar in a concept of treasury bills or money market fund, but yielding much higher. So if you have some Bitcoiner inside the organization, it's much easier because you know that more or less this is stabilizing around 100. Yes, it's volatile. Yes, it's new, but it's already proving the use case. It gives you much higher yield. It's return on capital, so you don't have to pay taxes on the first probably 7, 8, 9 years of the instrument itself. And it's much easier. So we see many companies also adding Stretch on the balance sheet, which is not directly Bitcoin, but for strategy, which is on the behind the curtain, it's directly acquiring Bitcoin. So we moved from adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet, which is for me still correct and still good to propose, but not easy for the board, into an instrument like Stretch, which is much easier to digest and much easier for company to add on the balance sheet. So imagine if this trend will also continue and will expand with bigger companies. It will be like really an accumulation machine, like much bigger than today.
Also, we saw the trend that there is stable coins issuers now using stretch as a backup mechanism. That one, if someone wants to criticize, maybe there is some light because it could be shady how these companies, which are usually private companies, can operate like that. For example, I don't know if you have the slide for the, how was the name?
No, I think I have here. Let me.
Back, right?
Something like that.
Back is using stretch to provide a stable dollar,
This.
which is exactly
Okay.
copying the tether, but instead of using US short-term treasury bill on one side, you use stretch.
Yeah. That bug is one created by one of the guys of True North. But there are two more. One is posting on X. Yes, I think on Monday we just bought 350,000 shares of Stretch to back our stablecoin. Today we reached 1 million shares of Stretch to back our Apix.
Yes.
So now the thing is, I haven't studied well enough, but I think these are Ethereum-based DeFi protocols. So I wouldn't put any money or advise anyone to take any of these. But still, it's a trend. You're gonna see that at least this time the DeFi protocols will have a true, legit mechanism to back up the yield production. While in the previous era of the NFTs and the shitcoin population, when any of these shitcoins offer you a 10% yield, and you have no fucking clue where it's coming from.
Yeah,
Because
some
probably
even
you were,
yeah.
right? Yeah, there was yields around 20% in some of these shitcoins.
Yeah,
It was
I remember, I think was USDD at some point, which is the stable coin backed by Justin Sun and Tron, that was promising like 25%. So again, this one is order of magnitude more secure, but still, I agree with you, copying the model of Tether with a new kind of instrument that, again, it's not always at par and can easily break from par in a short period of time, or if there is some selling pressure on stretch, because again, is the price is derived by the market and then by the company that can adjust the interest rate to try to modify the demand and the supply of it. But again, it's not. We can say that it's not as stable as the U.S. Treasury, that is like a market of many trillions with more than 100 years of history.
But it's a product of the Ponzi scheme. Let's say there is nothing legit backing up.
Yeah, I agree, but still, there are more than 100 years and all the financial complex and all the world run on these rails. So, but again, I love to see this experimentation, especially in DeFi, especially in other areas, because it's telling us that Bitcoin is eating everything. DeFi might work, yes, but maybe if it's built upon Bitcoin, might work better because it's the very solid foundation. So seeing stretch on balance sheet for company, real company, seeing stretch on the balance sheet of DeFi protocol, see Bitcoin on the balance sheet of some protocol on Bitcoin or on company as well, is testifying that what we are saying for many years now is true, is working. Bitcoin is superior and is just spreading to all the realities that we know. So I think it's very bullish. Sorry.
Yes, and you say the treasuries are the biggest Ponzi scheme on earth, the U.S. treasuries. Well, Stripe stock price rises 37%, while Bitcoin just 4%. Investing in treasuries, as I say, is using leverage without the risk of being liquidated. So that is good because Bitcoin jumped a little bit, but Stripe jumped even bigger.
Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive because they moved from 0.85 or maybe 0.9 mNAV to now 1.2. So it's similar to what strategy has. Again, I didn't dive much into Stripe balance sheet. I know that the amplification actually today is higher than the one of strategy, and they have less debt per se compared to the convertible debt that strategy has. So maybe from a pure balance sheet perspective, Strive is even better than Strategy in terms of ratio. Then, of course, the total difference that Strategy has almost 800,000 BTC, whereas Strive, I think, around 13,000. So it's like minuscule compared to Strategy. But yeah, I think it's pretty bullish to see 37 jump and go back to much higher MNAV also for another big player. And again, now they will do the same as Sailor. So selling more stock, selling more SATA, and try to accumulate more Bitcoin. And again, guys, don't forget, we have still MetaPlanet that they will soon do something similar. On the pipeline, there is the treasury company of Adam Beck and also XXI from Jack Mallers that still needs to be operational. So when all those things align, plus all the momentum back, I think Bitcoin might move pretty violently.
Do you think that we can reach all-time high for Bitcoin this year?
My base case is that we can only if there is another massive print similar to COVID from central banks globally and a massive increase in money supply, then yes. If it's more gradual, which I think will be the pattern this time, I don't see Bitcoin in all-time high this year. But what I would like to see is that we go maybe back to 90, 100. And if so, the 4-year cycle is dead for real, because this bear market will be very muted, very, very small. So for me, it will be great to see this. I'm not thinking that Bitcoin might go to all-time high unless there will be literally 5 to 10 trillion of new money created by the central banks. And I'm not sure it will happen.
Thing is, it happened so quick for the Nasdaq. Nasdaq got yesterday to a new all-time high when 1 week before
was dead.
It was fucked up. It was like 20% down, something like that. So if it happened that quick for Nasdaq, I'm pretty sure it will happen even faster for Bitcoin.
Oh, and check that the inflow, the capital inflow was 6.6 trillion US dollars in 12 days into the stock market. Only in Wall Street, only in the US stock market. Imagine if Bitcoin can get half a trillion, 500.
So now I'm not counting with new money printing or in a scenario, as you, Marco, said about what happened during COVID. I'm not counting with that because the money is already out there.
Yeah, it's there.
There is no like new money printed needed. That is like a consistent trend year over year, forever. That is going to happen. But mostly it's a reallocation of the capitals around the whole financial system, which now obviously has been moved away from Bitcoin during all this year of tariff tantrums, war, fears. And it moved away from there, but they are ready to come back at any point. It just need to be reallocated, and it happened strangely. I wouldn't have bet for this, but it strangely happened already for Nasdaq. Yesterday, everything was freaking crazy. How fast the 6 trillion market cap came back to Nasdaq. Yeah. So it's gonna happen. Bitcoin don't even need a trillion to move like that. Imagine if like 10% of what go to Nasdaq yesterday or last week goes to Bitcoin, the price will go to 120.
Yeah, for sure.
Very quickly.
Like if it adds, like, let's say 500 billion, that is less than 10% of the 12 days into the stock exchange, we can go 120 super fast. I think that we are gonna reach we are on the middle of the perfect storm with Stretch and all you see the treasuries recovering. You see that the leverage is not so huge. I think that with a small inflow of money, of course, small comparing with 6.6 trillion that came to the stocks market on the last 12 days, we can go easy back to 120 on more.
Also, it depends on what the US do here. And I don't think Trump is that stupid to keep screwing up the situation from here until the elections. So he must resolve the conflict with Iran in the next month maximum. He cannot extend it more closer to the election because it will go against him. Also, you can add the fact that it's going to be change on the Fed. So there's going to be a lot of pressure to also lower the interest rate. I think the combination of these two things will pump the stock market even crazier than last week, and Bitcoin will rise with it too.
Yeah, I think that more than connected with the printing of money is connected with the geopolitical situation. If we have, if Trump doesn't go crazy trying to make war everywhere and with the tariff and with all the things that prevented a bull run before, I think that Bitcoin can easily reach all-time high this year. I think it's not connected with the money printer because money is already there, but to the geopolitical situation and the news on the world.
I mean, we differ on this one, which is great. I mean, overall, over the long term, I mean, I don't have I have zero doubt. But again, seeing the price chart of Bitcoin since inception, etc., unless we have a very external shock from the purely monetary side, I don't see this recovery to be in a V-shaped recovery because, again, Bitcoin normally doesn't behave like that. We had some case in which it did, but at least from my understanding, because, again, everyone has a different view on market, etc., it will be a slower grind up, and then we will have an inflection point. I'm not sure to put this inflection point to go back to all-time high that close, but I would love to be wrong and to have a new all-time high by December of 2026, and we can celebrate together. But yeah, I agree that the foundation is laid out. So we have the ETF that are perfectly working, and they're pretty holding the token. We have strategy that is increasing the capacity of raising capital. We have only few small treasury company that sold Bitcoin. All the rest are either keeping the position or adding the position. So again, the scenario is laid out to be new all-time high, but I would like to be more conservative on that take. But I would love to be wrong.
You are not bullish enough. You are not bullish enough.
Possible, yeah.
Well, and something that we were discussing, Stripe increases SATA's dividend to 13%, increasing incentives to raise money to buy more and more Bitcoin.
You need to pull the back to the par price because it dropped after it got par, it dropped pretty quickly. So they need to still manipulate the interest rate to keep it afloat. Eventually it will work, but I think it might take longer because of the same considerations that we do before. The price jumped 37% because it's a lightweight company compared to strategy. It has a much cleaner balance sheet, a much more simpler structure, but it's lighter, which means the volatility will be a lot higher, not only on the stock, but on the preferred stock.
Yeah, and talking back about Bitcoin, I think that is something month by month. We were talking last month when March was closing, the importance to have March closing by green in a small, even though it's like 1% as it closed, it was going to be very important to cut these consecutive red months. Now it's going to be important if April we can close in a solid green. If we go around maybe 80, April closes around 76, 77, like this, it's going to be good and can trigger a bigger run to look for the new all-time high. So that's all that I have. I think you, Marco, let me adjust this.
Yeah,
I think you wanted to discuss the quantum FUD.
Yeah, and why for me, again, it's not only about the good news, because again, as we said and explored together, there are plenty of good news. Fundamentally, Bitcoin is probably stronger than ever. The Also, Bitcoin inside corporation is stronger than ever, etc. So everything is on that side amazing, positive, and we all know that. But it's also true that there are narratives that spread very, very quickly that can create panic, can create fear, can create new cohort of people to maybe skip or maybe to dismiss Bitcoin because they just read some, bullshit article or some friends of a friends telling him that quantum might break Bitcoin tomorrow. So that's why I'm a bit more conservative on the all-time high, because I still feel that majority of people still say, yeah, quantum is going to break Bitcoin. They don't know nothing about Bitcoin. They don't know nothing about quantum, but they say, nah, it's a big deal. So that's why on my side, I want to be a bit more conservative, because I still see a lot of shit around, especially like this one that I'm about to share. BIP 361, which is, to be honest, I don't know, guys, if you had the chance to read the abstract and to see the people behind this proposal, especially Jameson Lopp, which for me is like a shitcoiner that is inside Core, and is pretty scary that we arrived to this point. But the whole idea is that, considering that quantum is a big threat and probably is gonna break Bitcoin by 2030, we just decide to froze 30% of the supply, because it's better to freeze now instead of a potential theoretical danger that we might face in 5, 10, 15 years. That's the whole idea, to freeze almost 30% of the wallets and to include in this soft fork, which actually will be an hard fork, because again, will be completely destroying the protocol and destroying all the idea that we have about Bitcoin, to essentially impose that wallets that are from a certain age and that didn't move to be completely frozen and to be completely immovable, including the Satoshi coin, including many others, which to me will be against the ethos of Bitcoin, will be completely against the harmony, will be completely against all the value that we try to share. For me, it's like a communist move. It's like a completely irrational, proposal. For me, it's even like a laughable proposal. I think it's they know 100% that this proposal cannot in any shape or form be applied. But I don't know who's behind those people, and we need to, with our voice, with Twitter, with our echo chamber, to try to say that this is completely insane and it's very dangerous for Bitcoin and for all Bitcoiners. It's very dangerous.
This smells like the same kind of people that fork Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash. They think they are smarter than Bitcoin. They think they are smarter than Satoshi. They think they need to control things. They are basically communists embedded in the Bitcoin community. So no, any kind of intervention of any system will only produce worse problems. You have to let it be as it is. If eventually quantum is going to be a problem for Bitcoin, let it self-fix. If it is a problem, it's a problem that eventually will fix. It's not that because of quantum, Bitcoin will disappear into the air. It will just readjust to the new structure, whatever it is, if it is. And we discussed so many times that is totally irrelevant, because it's not going to be possible, not even in 5 years, not in 10 years, probably not ever. And it's just a temporary fad that these people try to implement. My only question is, how powerful are these as to eventually modify the thing, like the same way they do with the how is the thing that they put inside the blocks, the ordinals.
The ordinals.
Right.
Yeah, I think over the last couple of years we had this big debate, and also notes that gain a lot of attention, a lot of ground. Why? Because inside of Bitcoin Core, there are plenty of genius people, plenty of very sophisticated software developer, maintainers, etc. But you also see some of those shady figures that want to slowly try to subvert the right path. So that's why also nodes move, and I think now 10% or more of node runners run nodes and not core, because people start to realize that maybe to have also a kind of choice between the protocol itself to which rules to run, and so nodes and not core might be helpful, because you never know. Because again, people instinctively want to gain more power, gain more attention, gain more. Maybe they have interest, like also Nick Carter is another one, and Jameson Lopp is another one, that they try to put their own interests first and try to scare people, try to bring their own narratives. But again, this one for me is totally insane, and I'm happy that there is a lot of discussion on Twitter, and the majority of people that I saw are totally against it, calling out names, calling out the problems, calling out that is absolutely insane. But we need to be stronger than ever here, and to draw the line that is not possible to cross. And freeze coin is totally communist, and especially in this way, 34% for a problem that is not even close. That's the main topic.
The only thing that make me think is if we actually need to pay them attention or totally ignore them.
I think that
because when we pay attention, we just make them stronger with the argument. They will find a new way to counterattack. But if you totally ignore it, it will just fade away into something that a group of people trying to impose and never reach any scale.
It happened the same. This happened, I don't know if we told you, when we went to La BitConf, the biggest Spanish Latin American conference, and we were I was in a panel, in a podcast, trying to explain people what is Bitcoin and why do they need to use Bitcoin. And there come a guy from Bitcoin Cash and start diverting the conversation. And in the panel, we were 4, and 3 started discussing with this guy. And I was telling guys, don't give a fuck about this crazy, stupid guy. Just keep talking about Bitcoin. But if we pay attention to all these things, I think what we have to do is to ignore and address that and repeat that quantum is not a threat to Bitcoin. Not even now, not even in 10 years.
I agree, but Jameson Lopp and probably the people behind those papers, this idea, are inside Bitcoin Core, which again today is the most important, the most trusted, let's say, organization running and maintaining Bitcoin. So that's my problem. If it's an external guy, if it's Nick Carter, which is a salesman, VC, etc., I don't care. But if it's inside the faction that is supposed to protect and preserve at the highest level Bitcoin, proposing this shit, we need to call it out. And we need to say that it's completely insane, that is wrong. And I'm happy that overall the feed that I have and the people that I saw today, they were pretty strong against it. Because again, it's within the Bitcoin Core Foundation. And it's scary because first he did with the ordinals, then he's tried to do shitcoinery on Bitcoin. Now he's doing this one. So for me, it's a fabricated attack from within, trying to justify this narrative, try to justify this hard fork, basically. So I agree with you guys. If it's external, don't put more petrol on the fire. But in this case, it's internal. So we need to be more cautious and try to maybe eliminate the bad apples from this kind of central roles. Because if you behave like this, you shouldn't be a top maintainer or top Bitcoin Core developer that people should follow you, because it's completely insane.
Yeah.
That's my argument.
Yeah, it's if it is internal, it's a little bit more complex, but I don't even know how you fight back this kind of situation. With more fuel on the fire, it seems to me that you just empower them even better. I remember the guy in the Riga conference 2-3 years ago when they were at the top of the ordinals development. They were just laughing about Bitcoin. Basically, they were so proud of having screwed Bitcoin temporarily. That these people are they're not Bitcoiners. They just have the power to work inside to develop these shitty things. But they are not. These are not the real Bitcoiners. So I don't have any other knowledge because I'm not into the tech community of Bitcoin. But eventually, I still trust that these things fade away the same way ordinals fade away. They are not a big deal anymore, right? Let the market take care of it by itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah. But yeah, just to be cautious, because we will see, if we see more of those type of people inside Bitcoin Core pushing for those narratives. Again, I know that Bitcoin is the most resilient network that we have, and we will have in the future. I know that all the node runners they know what they're doing, so they are not falling into this kind of crap. But again, starting to see bad apples inside the Bitcoin Core team and the dev team, the people that should be the most thoughtful about that, and seeing ordinals, seeing shitcoinery, seeing this BIP 361, I think it's some kind of red flag that people need to address. Other people much more technical than us, much more in depth with the real knowledge, because I don't have real knowledge on the software side on how to do properly those stuff. But the other side, the good guy, needs to step up and say, look, that's the roadmap. We are because they are working on this topic. It's not that people on Bitcoin are stupid and not working. Actually, it's the most smart people and the brightest people working for Bitcoin. So they are addressing the problem, but they will find the solution, and we will find consensus when there is really a real threat or a very good solution that is not harming anybody. This one is like too quick, too fast, totally wrong, totally communist style, which is completely far from Bitcoin and Satoshi's vision, and it's totally wrong. So we need to speak up, because it's within the Bitcoin core, and that's dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see how it evolves. On my side, it's like, for me, I will repeat all the time that quantum is a fad. It's not even a risk, and I will keep working to. The most important thing is to make the Bitcoin market cap reach 30 trillion at least to get the hyper Bitcoinization going. But on the other side, again, calling that you don't have to touch Bitcoin because Bitcoin is working perfect as it was designed, and it's working.
Yeah.
Well, Marco, I think that's all for today. Thank you for being on the other side.
Thank you, guys.
For our audience, what is your social media?
Yeah, on X at Battistoshi93, and feel free to go on the article tab if you want. There are 3 articles on 3 different topics. Hopefully every week I can provide a new article with new insight and discuss together with you guys. So
Excellent, Marco. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you everyone who is on the other side. If you like the episode, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media, follow also Marco on social media, because doing so, you help us a lot to paint the world orange. See you in the next episode. Stay humble, stack sats, and remember, we are all Satoshi.